Captain Lee Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the Earth ship New Seoul, watching the massive alien vessel approach. The alien ship was 3 times larger than his own, but Dae-ho felt no fear. He had been preparing for this moment for months. The message had come suddenly 3 weeks ago. Strange signals from deep space, clearly artificial, clearly intelligent. Earth scientists had worked day and night to decode them. When they finally understood the words, the entire planet had changed. Forever. "We are the Galactic Council," the message had said. "We have detected your primitive communication attempts. Prepare for contact." Primitive. Dae-ho almost smiled at that word. If only they knew. Dr. Kim So-ra entered the bridge, carrying her data pad. She was Earth's best expert on alien life, though until now she had only studied theories and possibilities. Today, theory would become reality. "Captain," So-ra said, "the alien ship is requesting permission to dock. Their message seems polite, but distant. Like they're talking to children." "Let them dock," Dae-ho replied. "And So-ra, remember what we discussed. Let them think what they want to think." Ambassador Park Ji-woo joined them on the bridge. Ji-woo was Earth's best diplomat, chosen for this moment because of his ability to stay calm under pressure. He had negotiated peace treaties between nations. Now he would negotiate with beings from other worlds. "Are we ready?" Ji-woo asked. "We're ready," Dae-ho confirmed. "Remember, we are just a young species taking our first steps into space. Nothing more." The alien ship connected to the New Seoul with a soft thud. Dae-ho led his team to the docking bay. The door opened with a hiss, and the aliens stepped through. They were tall, maybe 7 feet, with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. Their leader wore robes covered in strange symbols. Behind him came other aliens, some with scales, others with fur, one that seemed to be made of living crystal. "I am Council Prime Veltar," the leader announced. His voice came through a translation device. "I represent the Galactic Council, the governing body of 12 advanced civilizations. You are the humans of the planet Earth, correct?" "Yes," Ji-woo stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Park Ji-woo. We welcome you to our ship." Veltar looked around, the docking bay with what seemed like disappointment. "This is your most advanced vessel?" "One of them," Dae-ho answered carefully. "Fascinating," said another alien, this one covered in green scales. "I am Science Director Crixnull. We had expected to find a species barely capable of leaving their planet's atmosphere. Instead, we find you have achieved faster-than-light communication, most unusual for such a young civilization." So-ra stepped forward. "We are eager to learn from more advanced species like yourselves." Crixnull seemed pleased by this. "Good. Humility is important. How long have your people been traveling in space?" "About 60 years, Ji-woo replied. It was true, though it didn't tell the whole story. 60 years! Veltar exclaimed. "And you have already achieved FTL communication? Remarkable! It took the hegemony 300 years to develop such technology after first reaching space." Dae-ho exchanged a quick glance with So-ra. The aliens seemed impressed by what they thought was fast progress. If only they knew the truth. "Would you like a tour of our ship?" Dae-ho offered. "Yes," Veltar said. "We must evaluate your technological level to determine your status in the galactic community." Dae-ho led them through the ship's public areas. He showed them the basic engines, the simple navigation systems, the standard life support. Everything designed to look impressive to a primitive species, but nothing that would reveal Earth's true capabilities. Your propulsion is crude but functional, Crixinol observed. Your computer systems are surprisingly advanced for your age, though still primitive by Council standards. We do our best, Sora said modestly. They reached the observation deck, where the aliens could see Earth through the large windows. The blue planet hung in space, looking peaceful and beautiful. A lovely world, Veltar admitted. Single star. System, I assume. How many planets have you colonized? We have research stations on several planets and moons in our system, Jiwoo replied. Again, true, but incomplete. Research stations. Crixinol nodded approvingly. Good. Careful expansion is wise for a young species. One of the other aliens spoke up. This one looked like a walking insect with large eyes. What is your population, if you don't mind us asking? About 8 billion on Earth, Daeho answered. The aliens exchanged glances. All on your home planet? Veltar asked, surprised. Mostly, Jiwoo said. Our other settlements are small. This seemed to relax the aliens. Veltar nodded. As expected, you are still in the early stages of expansion. This is normal. After the tour, they gathered in the ship's conference room. Veltar activated a holographic display showing a map of the galaxy. This is council space, he explained, highlighting a large portion of the galaxy. 12 species, hundreds of worlds, thousands of years of civilization. We maintain peace and order across this region. It's incredible, Jiwoo said, and his amazement was genuine. We would like to offer Earth membership in the Galactic Council, Veltar announced. Junior membership, of course. You would have limited voting rights and would need to follow Council laws and guidelines. In return, we would provide protection and limited access to Council technology. Limited access? Sora asked. For your own good, Crixinol explained. Advanced technology can be dangerous in the wrong hands. We have seen young species destroy themselves with power they weren't ready for. The Council provides technology gradually, as species prove they can handle it responsibly. Daeho kept his expression neutral. This is a great honor. We would need time to discuss this with our government. Of course, Veltar said. Take all the time you need. However, I should warn you, Council space is not always safe. There are pirates, rogue species, ancient weapons left over from old wars. Young civilizations need protection. We understand, Jiwoo replied. As the meeting continued, Daeho noticed how the aliens spoke to them. Like adults talking to children, patient but condescending. They truly believed Earth was primitive and helpless. After several hours, the aliens prepared to leave. We will return in 1 month for your answer, Veltar announced. I believe this partnership will be beneficial for both our peoples. We look forward to it, Jiwoo said. The aliens departed, their ship disappearing into faster-than-light travel. Daeho and his team remained in the conference room, waiting several minutes to make sure they were truly alone. Finally, Sora spoke. They have no idea, do they? None at all, Daeho confirmed. They think we're children playing with toys. Jiwoo leaned back in his chair. Their technology is impressive, but not as advanced as they think. Did you notice their ship's design? It's efficient, but it follows patterns that suggest they haven't had any major innovations in centuries. Maybe longer, Sora added. Their FTL communication system is actually less advanced than ours, and their computer systems, we passed those designs 50 years ago. Daeho activated his personal communicator. Command, this is Daeho. First contact went as expected. They're offering junior membership with limited technology access. The reply came immediately. Understood, Captain. Continue the charade. How long do we have? 1 month before they return. Perfect. That gives us time to prepare the next phase. Make sure they continue to underestimate us. Will do. Deho closed the communication and looked at his team. You know what this means? It means we keep pretending to be primitive while we figure out how advanced they really are, Sora said. And how many of them there are, Jiwoo added. And whether they're truly peaceful or just well-organized. Deho nodded. The Council thinks they found a species to protect and guide. They have no idea they just made contact with their replacements. Through the observation deck windows, Earth continued to spin peacefully in space. But on the planet's surface and in hidden bases throughout the solar system, humanity began preparing for what would come next. The Galactic Council had made their first mistake. They had assumed that a young species must be a weak species. Soon, they would learn how wrong they were. 3 months had passed since Earth accepted junior membership in the Galactic Council. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo sat in his office deep beneath the surface of Mars, reading reports from human observers stationed on Council worlds. The reports were interesting, very interesting. Dr. Yoon Hae-jin entered the office carrying a tablet. As Earth's leading physicist, Hae-jin had been studying Council technology samples. What he had discovered was not what anyone expected. Admiral, Hae-jin said, we have a problem. What kind of problem? The Council's technology is older than they claim, much older. Their computer systems use principles we abandoned 30 years ago. Their power sources are efficient but crude. And their weapons... Hae-jin paused, choosing his words carefully. Their weapons are designed to fight enemies who think like they do. Slow, predictable, traditional. Hyun-woo leaned forward. Are you saying we're more advanced than they are? In most areas, yes. Significantly more advanced. On Council Station Omega, Ambassador Park Ji-woo attended his first Council science meeting. The topic was a mathematical problem that had puzzled Council scientists for over 1,000 years. It involved calculating safe, faster-than-light jump routes through unstable space regions. Ji-woo listened to the discussion for an hour. The Council scientists debated various approaches, all extremely complex and time-consuming. Finally, Ji-woo raised his hand. Excuse me, he said politely. I might have a suggestion. Counselor Thexamari, a tall alien with purple skin and 6 eyes, looked at him with what might have been amusement. Please, human, share your thoughts. Ji-woo walked to the display board and began writing equations. Simple equations. To him, anyway. If you adjust the calculation matrix this way, he explained, and factor in the gravitational resonance patterns like this, the solution becomes much easier. The room fell silent. The equations Ji-woo had written would have taken Council scientists months to develop. He had done it in minutes. Science Director Crixnall stared at the board. This actually works. Of course it works, Ji-woo said, confused by their surprise. It's basic physics. Thexamari's 6 eyes focused on Ji-woo with new intensity. After the meeting, she approached him privately. Ambassador, she said carefully, how long did it take your people to develop these mathematical techniques? We've used them for about 20 years, Ji-woo replied honestly. Why? Thexamari said nothing, but her expression was troubled. Meanwhile, Agent Lim Min-ho moved quietly through the corridors of Council Military Base 7. His mission was simple: observe and report. What he observed worried him. The base's security was laughable. The guards were lazy and inattentive. The computer systems could be hacked by a human child. The weapons storage was poorly protected. Most disturbing of all, the military personnel seemed soft, like they had never faced a real threat. Min-ho accessed the base's historical records. The last major council military action had been over 200 years ago. Since then, they had fought only small pirates and minor disputes. They had grown comfortable, weak. As Min-ho transmitted his report back to Earth, he realized something that made his blood run cold. The Council wasn't protecting the galaxy from threats. The Council had become so powerful that no one dared threaten them anymore. Until now. Back on Mars, Admiral Hyun-woo received Min-ho's report and immediately called a meeting with his senior staff. The conference room filled with Earth's top military commanders. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hyun-woo began, "we have a situation. Our intelligence suggests that the Galactic Council is not as formidable as they appear." General Song Tae-min spoke up. "What do you mean, sir?" "I mean, their military is designed to intimidate, not to fight. They haven't faced a real enemy in centuries. Their tactics are outdated, their equipment is old, and their soldiers are untested." "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?" asked Fleet Admiral John Mi-kyung. "I'm suggesting we need to be very careful about how we proceed. The Council thinks they're dealing with primitives. If they discover our true capabilities, they'll panic," Tae-min finished. And panicked. People do stupid things. Dr. Yoon Hae-jin was working in his laboratory when the accident happened. He was testing a new power coupling system, trying to understand how Council energy technology worked. The device overloaded and exploded, filling the room with exotic radiation. When the smoke cleared, Hae-jin realized he had created something impossible. The explosion had generated more energy than the device should have been capable of producing. Much more. Excited, Hae-jin called his assistant. "Get me a connection to the Council research station. I need to share this discovery." The call went through to Dr. Zeph Cole, a Council physicist who had been helping Earth scientists understand advanced Council theories. "Dr. Hae-jin," Zeph Cole said, "how can I help you?" "I've had an accident in my lab, and I think I've discovered something important." Hae-jin explained what had happened, describing the energy readings and the reaction process. On the other end of the call, Zeph Cole's face went pale. "Dr. Hae-jin," Zeph Cole said slowly, "what you've just described should be impossible." But it happened. The energy output was incredible. "No, you don't understand. What you've described is a theoretical process that Council scientists have been trying to achieve for 3,000 years. We've never been able to make it work." Hae-jin was confused. "But it's really not that complicated. The principle is simple if you approach it from the right angle." Zeph Cole stared at him through the screen. "Dr. Hae-jin, I need to ask you something. And please be honest. How advanced is human science, really?" The question hung in the air. Hae-jin realized he had made a mistake. A big mistake. "We're always learning," he said carefully. But it was too late. Zeph Cole had seen the truth in his eyes. Counselor Thex Mari sat in her private chambers, reviewing everything she knew about humans. The mathematical solutions, the casual way they solved complex problems, their ambassadors' quick reflexes during the recent emergency drill, their apparent comfort with concepts that should be beyond them. She activated her secure communication system and sent a message to Council Prime Veltar. Prime, we need to talk. Privately, about the humans. The reply came quickly. What about them? I think we've made a serious error in judgment. On Earth, President Kang Soo-jin received a priority message from Admiral Hyun-woo. The message was simple but alarming. The deception is failing. Council suspects our true nature. Recommend immediate preparation for exposure. Soo-jin looked out her office window at the bustling city below. Millions of humans going about their daily lives, unaware that their entire future might depend on the next few weeks. She activated her emergency communication system, sending coded messages to human colonies throughout the solar system and beyond. The messages were brief but clear. Prepare for revelation. All assets to ready status. In hidden bases on asteroids, on the moons of Jupiter, in the depths of Earth's oceans, and in secret facilities scattered across a dozen star systems, humanity began to wake up. The Council thought they were dealing with one small planet and a few research stations. They were about to discover how wrong they were. Back on Council Station Omega, Ambassador Jiwoo received an urgent message from Earth. He read it twice, then deleted it from his secure tablet. The message had been simple. They're getting suspicious. Be ready to drop the act. Jiwoo looked around his quarters. For months he had been playing the role of a primitive human, grateful for Council guidance and protection. The role was about to end. He activated his personal communicator, using a frequency the Council couldn't detect. This is Jiwoo, he said quietly. All agents, prepare for Phase 2. The game is changing. Across Council space, human agents received the message. Men and women who had been posing as simple observers, grateful junior members, eager students. All of them stopped pretending and began preparing for what was coming. Councillor Thex Mari called an emergency meeting of the Council's Security Committee. The meeting was held in a secure chamber, protected from any possible surveillance. Council members, she began, I believe the humans have been deceiving us from the beginning. That's a serious accusation, said War Commander Nexvol. What evidence do you have? Their scientific capabilities, their reaction times, their casual solutions to problems we've struggled with for millennia. I don't think they're primitive at all. Ridiculous, scoffed Councillor Brixhan. We've seen their technology. It's crude. What if they wanted us to see crude technology? Thex Mari asked. What if they've been showing us only what they wanted us to see? The room fell silent. The idea was disturbing, but the more they thought about it, the more sense it made. What are you suggesting we do? Asked Nexvol. Investigate. Carefully, without alerting them to our suspicions. But it was too late for that. Across the galaxy, humans had been listening to Council communications. For months, they knew about the meeting within hours. The deception was unraveling, just as Earth's leaders had always known it would. The question now was what would happen when the Council discovered the truth. On Mars, Admiral Hyun-woo looked at the tactical displays showing human assets throughout the galaxy, ships that the Council didn't know existed, weapons the Council couldn't imagine, technologies that would revolutionize everything the Council thought they knew about warfare. President Kang Soo-jin stood before the full assembly of the Galactic Council. Representatives from 12 species filled the massive chamber, their various forms creating a strange but impressive sight. At the center, Council Prime Veltar waited, with obvious impatience. President Soo-jin, Veltar said, you requested this emergency assembly. The Council hopes there is no crisis on Earth that requires our assistance. Soo-jin smiled calmly. There is no crisis, Prime Veltar. But there are some things we need to discuss. Important things that will change our relationship. Behind her, General Song Taemin and Dr. Bae Young-sik took their positions. Around the chamber, human observers who had been playing the role of junior diplomats quietly moved to strategic locations. "We appreciate your concern for our development," Soo-jin continued. "But it's time we were honest with each other about humanity's actual capabilities." Counselor Thexmari leaned forward, her 6 eyes focusing intently. "What do you mean, President?" "I mean, we haven't been entirely truthful about our technological level." The chamber erupted in confused chatter. Veltar raised his hand for silence. "I don't understand," he said. "Your technology is primitive. We've seen it ourselves." "You've seen what we wanted you to see," Soo-jin replied. "Dr. Bae, would you please explain?" Dr. Bae Young-sik stepped forward, activating a holographic projector. The display showed detailed technical specifications that made several council scientists gasp. "Honorable council members," Young-sik began, "what you've seen of human technology represents our civilian and commercial level from approximately 50 years ago. 50 years ago? Science Director Crixnall stammered. "Our actual current technology is somewhat more advanced." Young-sik's presentation showed faster-than-light engines that operated on principles the Council had never seen. Computer systems that processed information at speeds that should have been impossible. Weapons that could disable entire fleets without destroying them. This is not possible," Crixnall protested. "Your species is only 60 years into space travel." "That's correct," Young-sik agreed. "We've been quite efficient with our time." Council members began shouting questions and protests. Veltar struggled to maintain order. In the chaos, nobody noticed General Taemin quietly activating his communication device. "All units," he whispered, "execute Revelation Protocol. Show them everything." Across council space, something extraordinary happened. Space itself seemed to shimmer and bend. Where there had been empty vacuum, massive human ships suddenly appeared. Not just a few ships, but entire fleets. On council homeworlds, defense stations that had been monitoring empty space suddenly detected hundreds of human vessels that had been hiding in plain sight. The ships were using stealth technology so advanced that council sensors couldn't detect them until the humans chose to be seen. Fleet Admiral John Mi-kyung's voice echoed through the council chamber from the communication system. Council Prime. "Veltar, this is Fleet Admiral John Mi-kyung of the Human Deep Space Navy. I am currently in command of Battle Group 7, positioned 2,000 kilometers above your capital city." The chamber fell dead silent. Through the large windows, council members could see the dark shapes of human warships hanging in space above their most important world. "How?" Veltar whispered. "We've been here for 2 months. Mi-kyung continued. "Our stealth systems allowed us to study your defenses without being detected. Your planetary shields are impressive, but they wouldn't stop our weapons." "Are you threatening us?" demanded War Commander Nexavol, rising from his seat. President Soo-jin spoke calmly. "We're not threatening anyone, Commander. We're simply revealing the truth about our capabilities." "But why?" asked Counselor Thexmari. "Why hide this from us?" "Because we needed to understand what kind of civilization we were dealing with," Soo-jin explained. "Were you peaceful explorers, as you claimed? Or were you conquerors who used peaceful words to hide aggressive intentions?" General Taemin stepped forward. "We've been monitoring your communications, studying your military bases, analyzing your historical records. We needed to know if you were truly peaceful or if you were a threat to human colonies." Human colonies? Veltar asked. But you said you only had research stations. Dr. Young-Sik activated another holographic display. This one showed a map of the galaxy with hundreds of points of light scattered across it. These are human settlements, he explained. We currently have permanent colonies on 437 worlds, with a total population of approximately 12 billion people living outside the Sol system. The council members stared at the display in shock. According to their understanding, humans barely had the technology to leave their home planet. Instead, they had colonized nearly half the galaxy. When did this expansion begin? Asked Science Director Crixnull weakly. About 30 years ago, Young-Sik replied. We developed faster-than-light travel shortly after we achieved orbital flight. Our species tends to advance quickly once we understand basic principles. Counselor Brixhan stood up angrily. This is impossible. No species develops that rapidly. Perhaps no species you've encountered before, Sujin corrected. But then, you haven't encountered humans before. On the display screens around the chamber, new images appeared. Human cities on distant worlds, massive space stations in systems the Council had never explored, industrial facilities that dwarfed anything in Council space. Your intelligence. Networks are quite good, admitted Agent Lim Min-ho, speaking for the first time, but not good enough to detect our activities. We've been watching you watch us for months. This is why your junior membership offer was problematic, President Sujin continued. You were offering to protect a species that didn't need protection. You were offering to share technology with a species that had already surpassed you. In most areas. The chamber erupted again. This time, Veltar couldn't restore order. Council members shouted accusations, demands for explanations, and calls for immediate military action. Through it all, the humans remained calm. Finally, Fleet. Admiral Meek-young's voice cut through the chaos. Council members, please observe your tactical displays. Around the chamber, holographic screens showed the location of every Council military vessel. Next to each Council ship, human vessels appeared on the display. The numbers were overwhelming. As you can see, Meek-young explained, every Council military asset is currently being monitored by human forces. We have achieved complete strategic superiority without firing a single shot. War Commander Nexvol stared at his tactical display in horror. How many ships do you have? Enough, General Taemin replied simply. But we've been monitoring your shipbuilding capabilities, protested Counselor Quindar. We've seen your construction facilities. You've seen the facilities we wanted you to see, Taemin corrected. Our actual military production takes place in hidden systems you've never discovered. Dr. Young-Sik brought up another display. Human. Industrial capacity currently exceeds the combined output of all Council worlds by approximately 300%. We've been very busy during our 60 years in space. What do you want from us? Veltar asked, his voice barely a whisper. President Sujin's expression softened slightly. We want peace, Prime Veltar. The same thing we've always wanted. But we want peace between equals, not peace between a guardian and a child. You're saying the Council is obsolete, Thexmari observed. I'm saying the Council as it currently exists cannot continue, Sujin replied. You've been the dominant power in this region for thousands of years. That time is ending. And if we refuse to accept this change? Asked Nexavol. The humans exchanged glances. Finally, General Taemin spoke. Commander, we've studied your military capabilities extensively. In a direct conflict, Council forces would last approximately 6 hours against human fleets. 6 hours? Nexvol repeated, Stunned. That's assuming you could coordinate a unified response, Mi-kyung added from the communication system. Given our current strategic positions, actual resistance would likely end much sooner. You're talking about conquest, accused Counselor Brixhan. No, President Soo-jin corrected firmly. We're talking about reality. Conquest would imply we need to take something from you by force. We don't need to take anything. We already have everything we need. She gestured to the displays showing human colonies and fleets. We have more worlds, more ships, more people, and more advanced technology. What we want is cooperation and peace. But that cooperation must be based on truth, not on the fiction that humans are primitive beings who need council guidance. The chamber fell silent as the full implications sank in. The Galactic Council, rulers of hundreds of worlds, masters of dozens of species, had been made irrelevant overnight. What happens now? Veltar asked quietly. Now we start over, Soo-jin replied. We build a new relationship based on honesty and mutual respect, or... She paused, letting the alternative hang in the air. Or you'll destroy us, Thexmari finished. We hope it won't come to that, Soo-jin said sincerely. Humanity has no desire to rule over other species, but we will not be ruled by them either. General, Taemin activated his communicator one final time. All units, maintain current positions. Continue monitoring, but take no aggressive action unless directly threatened. As the humans prepared to leave the chamber, President Soo-jin turned back to the council. Counselor Zephyrin paced nervously in the secure military chamber deep beneath the council's capital city. Around the table sat the most powerful military leaders in council space, including the legendary War Prime Nexthul, brought out of retirement for this emergency. The situation is unacceptable, Zephyrin declared. We cannot allow a single species to hold the entire galaxy hostage. War Prime Nexthul, an ancient being with scarred armor and cold eyes, studied the tactical reports. These humans have been preparing for war while pretending to seek friendship. This is deception on a scale I have never encountered. Which is why we must act quickly, agreed Admiral Kexmar, before they can strengthen their positions further. On Earth, Dr. Ryu J. Hyuk sat in the Strategic Planning Center, watching holographic displays that showed every council military base in real time. Around him, the best tactical minds in human space worked quietly at their stations. Sir, reported Captain O.C. Young, council forces are mobilizing. They're trying to be subtle about it, but our sensors are tracking everything. What kind of mobilization? Jae-hyuk asked. Looks like they're planning some kind of blockade. They're moving ships to strategic jump points around human space. Jae-hyuk smiled slightly. Interesting. They're going to try to contain us. Intelligence Chief Nam Dong-wook entered the center carrying a data tablet. Dr. Ryu, we've intercepted council communications. They're planning to create an energy barrier around all known human territory. All known human territory, Jae-hyuk repeated, emphasizing the word known. How much of our actual territory do they know about? About 12%, Dong-wook replied. Meanwhile, in council space, the massive operation began. Hundreds of council ships moved into position around what they believed was the extent of human expansion. Energy generators powerful enough to stop faster than light travel were deployed at key locations. Counselor Zephyrin watched the deployment from the council command center. How long until the barrier is complete? 6 hours, reported the tactical officer. Once it's active, nothing will be able to enter or leave human space. Good. That should give us time to plan our next move. Back on Earth, Captain C. Young monitored the Council ships with amusement. They're setting up the containment field exactly where we predicted they would. Any sign they've detected our hidden colonies? Asked J. Hyuk. None. They still think human space consists of about 40 systems. They have no idea we control over 200. Perfect. Nam, have our countermeasures been deployed? Intelligence Chief Dongwook nodded. Yes, sir. Every Council barrier generator has been modified. When the Council activated their containment field, they expected to see a massive energy barrier spring up around human space. Instead, the barrier lasted exactly 47 seconds before collapsing completely. What happened? Demanded Zephyrin. Unknown, sir, replied the confused tactical officer. The generators appear to have malfunctioned simultaneously. On the Human Command Center's main screen, Captain C. Young displayed footage of Council engineers examining their failed equipment. They still don't understand, she observed. They think it was a technical failure. Let them think that for now, said J. Hyuk. What's their next move? The answer came within hours. Frustrated by the barrier failure, the Council decided on direct military action. A massive fleet of over 300 Council warships jumped into what they believed was the heart of human space. What they found waiting for them was not what they expected. Admiral, reported the Council fleet's sensor officer, we're detecting human vessels, but something's wrong. Admiral Vexthor studied his displays. The human ships were there, exactly where intelligence had predicted. But they weren't running or preparing for battle. They were just sitting there, waiting. Hail the human fleet, Vexthor ordered. Captain C. Young's face appeared on the Council flagship's main screen. She looked completely relaxed, as if facing. A massive enemy fleet was no concern at all. Admiral Vexthor, she said pleasantly. You're right on time. On time for what? For the demonstration. My superiors wanted to show you something before you make any irreversible decisions. What demonstration? Instead of answering, Seyoung smiled. Computer, execute Containment Protocol 7. Around the Council fleet, space itself seemed to change. Energy fields sprang up, but these weren't like anything Council science could produce. The fields surrounded each Council ship individually, creating perfect containment boxes. What is this? Vexthor demanded, but his weapons and engines had been completely disabled. This is what human technology can actually do, Seyoung explained. Your ships are completely safe, but they can't move, can't fire, and can't communicate with the outside galaxy. You're in perfect stasis fields. Dr. J. Hyuk's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, this is Dr. Ryu J. Hyuk, Human Strategic Command. I want you to understand something important. Everything you're experiencing right now was planned months ago. Impossible, Vexthor protested. Your fleet movements, your battle plans, even your choice of weapons. We've been monitoring and predicting your actions since the day we revealed ourselves. Intelligence Chief Nam, would you please explain to the Admiral how long we've been reading Council communications? Nam Dong-wook's voice joined the conversation. Admiral Vexthor, human intelligence has been intercepting and decoding Council military communications for approximately 8 months. We know about every classified project, every secret weapon, and every strategic plan currently in development. The Council Admiral stared at his disabled control panels in growing horror. You've been spying on us this entire time. Not spying, corrected J. Hyuk. Monitoring. There's a difference. Spies try to remain hidden. We weren't particularly concerned about hiding our activities because your detection systems couldn't find us anyway. On the Council Command Center, Counselor Zephyrin watched in panic as his entire fleet disappeared from sensors. "Where are they?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir. We've lost all contact. Send another fleet." "Sir, that was our entire attack fleet. We don't have another one." War Prime Nexthul, who had been silent throughout the crisis, finally spoke. "Contact the humans. Arrange my transport to their location." "Sir?" "I need to see this for myself." An hour later, Nexthul found himself aboard a human ship, face to face with Dr. J. Hyuk. The human looked younger than Nexthul had expected, and far too calm for someone whose species was supposedly at war. "War Prime," J. Hyuk said respectfully. "I've read about your victories. Very impressive strategic thinking." "Not impressive enough, apparently," Nexthul replied bitterly. "You anticipated every move we made. We had advantages you didn't know about. Superior intelligence gathering, better strategic analysis systems, and most importantly, we had time to prepare." "How much time?" "We've been planning for this possibility since our first contact with the Council. We knew that eventually, some Council faction would decide humans were a threat that needed to be eliminated." Nexthul studied the human carefully. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Conquerors. Destroyers. Most species that achieve rapid technological advancement become aggressive and territorial." Jae Hyuk nodded. "We considered that path. It would have been easier in some ways. But we decided we preferred a galaxy with diversity and cooperation. Even if that cooperation must be on your terms. Even if that cooperation must be based on reality instead of comfortable illusions." On his command ship, Admiral Vexithor received a message from Human Command. His fleet would be released unharmed, but first he needed to see something. The stasis. Fields around his ships became transparent, allowing the Council crews to see outside. What they saw changed everything. Surrounding the Council fleet were not dozens of human ships, but thousands, massive vessels unlike anything in Council databases. And beyond them, stretching to the horizon, were structures that defied imagination. "What is that?" Vexthor whispered. Captain Si Young answered from her ship. "That's Humanity Station 7. It's one of our smaller military construction facilities." The station was the size of a small moon, with thousands of ships in various stages of construction. Council intelligence had never detected it because it existed in a system they had never explored. "How many facilities like this do you have?" asked Vexthor. 37 major construction centers, and over 200 smaller ones. War Prime Nexthul returned to the Council chambers that evening with a full report. The Council members listened in stunned silence as he described what he had seen. "Their military capacity exceeds ours by at least 10 to 1, he concluded. "Possibly more. Every strategic scenario I can imagine ends in complete Council defeat." "There must be something we can do," protested Zephyrin. "There is," Nexthul replied. "We can surrender." "Surrender? Or we can accept their terms for coexistence. But we cannot fight them and win. We cannot contain them or control them. The age of Council dominance is over." Counselor Thexmari spoke quietly. "How did we miss this? How did an entire species advance so far without us noticing?" "Because they're not like us," Nexthul answered. "We assume all species develop like we did, slowly, cautiously, following predictable patterns. Humans don't follow those patterns." Intelligence Chief Dong Wooks Voice came through the Council's communication system, startling everyone. Supreme Commander Han Ji-ho stood before the assembled representatives of what had once been the Galactic Council. The Great Chamber looked the same, but everything else had changed. Where once 12 species had ruled hundreds of worlds, now humanity held ultimate authority over the galaxy. "Representatives," Ji-ho began, his voice calm but carrying absolute authority, "we are here to establish the new order that will govern our galaxy." At her side, Diplomatic Director Shin A-rin activated a holographic display showing the current state of galactic civilization. The map revealed something that shocked even those who thought they understood the scope of human expansion. "As you can see," A-rin explained, "human territory now encompasses approximately 60% of known space. This expansion occurred over the past 6 months, following the Council's failed military actions." Council Remnant Leader Quindar, one of the few former Council members still in a position of any authority, stared at the display in disbelief. 60%? But that's impossible. We monitored your movements." "You monitored what we allowed you to monitor," corrected Dr. Lee Kyung-ho, stepping forward with his data tablet. "Our actual expansion began the moment we revealed our true capabilities. While you were planning attacks on our known colonies, we were colonizing star systems you didn't even know existed." The representatives from the various alien species murmured among themselves. The scale of human planning and execution was beyond anything they had imagined possible. "What happened to our worlds?" asked Representative Blixtar of the hegemony. "Our sensors show human ships in every system." Governor Park Yun-bi, administrator of humanity's new galactic territories, answered with professional courtesy. "Your worlds are safe and unharmed. Human forces have taken control of strategic positions and infrastructure, but civilian populations have not been displaced or harmed." "You're occupying our planets without firing a shot," observed Quindar. "We're ensuring stability during the transition," corrected Yunbi. "Your former council government ceased to function when your military was defeated. Someone needed to maintain order, and you appointed yourselves," said Representative Thekmol bitterly. Supreme Commander Ji-ho nodded. "Yes, we did. Because we were the only ones capable of preventing chaos and maintaining peace across the galaxy." The truth of this statement was undeniable. In the 3 weeks since the Council's military defeat, not a single act of piracy or interspecies conflict had occurred anywhere in human-controlled space. The galaxy was more peaceful than it had been in centuries. "What are your terms?" asked Quindar quietly. Diplomatic Director A-rin brought up a new display. "Integration and cooperation. Species that accept human authority will be granted autonomous governance of their home worlds, access to advanced human technology, and protection under human law. And those who don't accept," asked Representative Velkoth, "will be allowed to leave," Ji-ho answered simply. "We're not interested in ruling unwilling subjects. Any species that prefers independence may depart for unclaimed territory beyond the Galactic Rim." This offer surprised the alien representatives. They had expected demands for submission, not offers of voluntary departure. Dr. Kyung-ho stepped forward again. "I should explain what access to advanced human technology means. Our medical technology can extend your lifespans by 3 to 5 times. Our agricultural systems can end hunger on your worlds permanently. Our computational systems can solve resource distribution problems that have plagued your civilizations for millennia." Representative Zixara of the Crystal Collective spoke for the first time. "What do you want from us in return?" "Cooperation," A-rin replied. cultural exchange, scientific collaboration. We want to learn from your experiences and share our knowledge. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to prosper. Under human leadership, Quindar pointed out. Under human protection, corrected Jiho. There's a difference. Governor Yunbi activated another display showing human administrative structures that had been established across the galaxy. We've divided controlled space into sectors, each governed by a human administrator working with local representatives. Your species maintain control over your internal affairs. We handle external, security and resource allocation. You make it sound reasonable, said Representative Thekmol. It is reasonable, Dr. Kyung-ho replied. We've studied your histories. Under council rule, technological advancement was slow, resource conflicts were common, and several species faced gradual decline. Under human administration, every species has access to technologies that will solve their major problems. Representative Blixtar looked skeptical. And if we want to leave? What's the real cost of departure? Supreme Commander Jiho's expression remained neutral. No cost. We'll provide transportation and basic supplies for any species that chooses to emigrate. We'll even help you identify suitable worlds beyond our territory. But we wouldn't have access to your technology. Correct. Independence means independence. The alien representatives exchanged glances. The choice was clear. Accept human authority and gain access to incredible technology, or maintain independence and lose access to everything that could improve their civilizations. Quindar spoke for several minutes with the other representatives in hushed tones. Finally, he turned back to the humans. Most of our species will accept integration, he announced, but the hegemony and 2 other species have chosen departure. That is their right, Jiho acknowledged. Governor Unbi will coordinate the transition process with you. 3 months later, the galaxy had been transformed. On worlds that had struggled with energy shortages for centuries, human fusion technology provided unlimited clean power. Planets where food scarcity had been a constant threat now had agricultural systems that could feed 10 times their current population. Dr. Kyung-ho worked closely with alien scientists, sharing human knowledge while learning about technologies and perspectives humanity had never considered. The cultural exchange was proving beneficial for all species involved. Governor Yunbi established administrative centers on key worlds, but her human staff worked alongside local officials rather than replacing them. The transition had been surprisingly smooth. On the edge of human space, the 3 species that had chosen independence prepared for their journey to unknown regions. Supreme Commander Jiho personally oversaw the provision of their transport ships and supplies. You're being more generous than we expected, admitted former War Prime Nexthul, who had chosen to leave with the hegemony. We want you to succeed, Jiho replied sincerely. Diversity makes the galaxy stronger. If you build thriving civilizations beyond our territory, perhaps someday our peoples can interact as true equals. And if we fail, then you can return. The offer of integration will remain open. As the Independence fleets departed, long-range sensors detected something troubling. Ships from distant galaxies were fleeing their home territories, apparently in response to rumors about human expansion. Sir, reported Captain O.C. Young, we're tracking refugee ships from the Andromeda galaxy. They seem to be running from something. From us? Asked Jiho. Apparently. Intercepted communications suggest they believe humans are preparing to invade other galaxies. Diplomatic Director A. Rin frowned. We should send diplomatic missions to contact these other galactic civilizations. Make it clear we have no aggressive intentions toward them." "Agreed," said Jiho. "Prepare peaceful contact missions. The last thing we need is a multi-galactic war based on misunderstandings." Intelligence Chief Nam Dong-wook entered the command center with disturbing news. "Sir, our deep space monitoring stations are detecting massive population movements in nearby galaxies. Entire civilizations are abandoning their territories. Because of us? Because of stories about us. Apparently, word of our expansion has spread faster than we anticipated. Some accounts describe humans as unstoppable conquerors who destroyed the Council in a matter of hours." Dr. Kyung-ho looked thoughtful. "The truth is impressive enough. Why are the stories being exaggerated?" "Fear," suggested A-Rin. "They hear about our rapid expansion and technological superiority, and they imagine the worst possible scenario." Supreme Commander Jiho studied the reports of fleeing civilizations with concern. "We need to establish communication with other galactic governments immediately. This level of fear could destabilize the entire local galactic group." "What if they won't listen?" asked Se-young. "Then we'll have to demonstrate our peaceful intentions through actions, not just words." Within weeks, human diplomatic ships began appearing at the edges of other galaxies, broadcasting messages of peace and cooperation. Most civilizations refused contact, but a few brave governments agreed to negotiations. The talks revealed the extent of human reputation in the wider universe. Stories told of a species that had conquered an entire galaxy in mere months, that possessed technology beyond imagination, that could appear anywhere without warning. "We're not conquerors," diplomatic Director A-Rin explained to a delegation from the Magellanic Clouds. "We're administrators. There's a difference." "But you did conquer the Milky Way," pointed out their representative. "We revealed superior capabilities and offered integration or independence. Most species chose integration because the benefits were obvious. And now you control everything. We manage everything.